Alrighty, boys and girls of Phoenix Rising, I promised y'all a tutorial on stat weighing your character to better improve your DPS in a raid setting. So here we are. Sorry it's late, I got sick over the weekend and didn't really do anything. So here we are. First thing first, I'm going to have you go to a website here called raidbots.com. Raidbots.com is where you're going to want to go, unless if you want to use Simulation Crafts software, but this is the easiest way to do it, so I'm going to show you the quick and easy. To find out the stat weights for your character at that specific time, you're going to want to click on this button down here, stat weights, obvious. Click on stat weights and import your character, region, realm, character name. Mine's already loaded in here because I've done it a couple times, but you can click this little green circle here to refresh. Make sure you got your current gear and talents and everything. And that's basically it. You don't really have to mess with any other options. Patchwork style fight for single target boss. It's pretty standard. And then you just click this button down here called Generate Stat Weights. It's going to put you into a queue. Right here, I'm 437 out of 437. So it's going to take a little bit. In this time, we're going to go ahead and have you guys grab an add-on. That add-on is called Pawn. Now, you can look it up on CurseForge if you like to install things manually, or you can go ahead and use what I consider a better option, and that's an add-on manager. As you can see, I have this one called wowup.io. It's free to download, very simple to install, automatically finds your add-ons folder, and as you can see, I have quite a few add-ons out of date, so all you have to do is click update all. But within this add-on, you can also search for new ones at the get add-ons tab up top. Anyways, I'm getting off focus here. Pawn. Right here, this is what it's going to look like. I'll pop it up on CurseForge for you real quick so you can see what it looks like on here. So this add-on is what's going to tell you, based on your current stat weights, whether or not a new piece of gear is an upgrade or not. Now, as a reminder, you have to continuously sim your character every time you get a new piece of gear. Because once you get a new piece of gear, you might have changed the stat allocations that you have, pushing one secondary stat higher than another. It's possible. Usually they stay about the same, but I've had Mastery and Haste flip a couple of times for me myself. Haste being beneficial 1 week, and then I get a piece of gear, and then all of a sudden Mastery's better. So there is a balancing act, and you do need to go ahead and sim your character every single time you get a piece of new gear to make sure that it's accurate. Generally speaking, eye level overall, because this expansion primary stat is huge. It's worth probably 3 times as much as any secondary stat. So, but anyways, download this Pawn add-on right here, install it, and once you get in game, I'll show you what everything looks like. I'll even give you some examples of pieces of gear that I have in there. So, as you can see here, my simulation is done. It's going to show you what you're simming at overall, single target, and it also down at the bottom here is going to show you your stat weights. You can see here 1 point of intellect will increase your DPS by 3.21. That's what I was talking about. Intellect, my main stat, 3 times greater than any secondary stat. And this right here, right down below it, pawn string. This is what you really want to grab. Click that copy to clipboard button, and then bring it over to your World of Warcraft. Now we're in game here. And to open up Pawn, very simple. As soon as you have it installed and you've restarted your game, if you're in game, hit your character page. Usually default is C. And down at the bottom, underneath your trinket slots here, is going to be a button called Pawn. You're going to click to open it up. And this is where you're going to import those stat weights. Now it comes default, Pawn does, with certain stat allocations that it generally believes are good for a spec, like enhancement. You can see the weights are already in there. However, usually they're shit and they don't cater specifically to your character. So what I like to do is actually uncheck it so it doesn't show. So my elemental default option is not showing anymore. And you can do that down at the bottom here by clicking on scale and don't show. But here is my specific stat weight scales. And I want this one to show my tooltips so I know whether or not a new piece of gear is an upgrade. To import a scale, you need to click on, rather than automatic, you need to click on manual right here and then click on import. So when it's on automatic, you can't see, you can't do anything. You click on manual, all these options pop up. And from there you click on import, and that string that you copied from RaidBots you can now paste into here, and it will automatically update your attributes and your enhancements to what is best for you. Now, why does this matter? It's because it's going to show you when you get a new item to drop in your inventory, it'll show you whether or not it's an upgrade. So right here I've got a 184 piece and I'm currently wearing a 200 piece. Obviously the 200 piece is better, but for showmanship, here you are. If I hover over that 200 piece of gear, it's going to show, in comparison to what I'm currently wearing, that this chest piece is an 11% upgrade according to my simulation over what I'm currently wearing. This should take out all of the confusion on whether or not you should roll on an item, you should pass on an item. This right here tells me definitively that I want to wear this piece because it's going to boost my, it's not going to boost your DPS by 11%, but it's an 11% upgrade comparative to the piece of gear that you have. So, and yeah, that's basically it. This does not work on trinkets. If I hover over this trinket, for example, it can't accurately determine which trinkets are best. I can show you guys a website that'll tell you which trinket is simming the best for your character if you need to, if you need that. And it also will not work if you're, say, wearing a two-handed staff or a one-hand and an offhand. It only works if you've got a piece that is comparable to what you're wearing. So it'll compare two-handed to two-handed, but not one-hand to two-hand. So here I've got a one-hand piece that's 213. Currently equipping a 200. It does show that this is an upgrade. Not only does it show it's an upgrade, but if you shift on it, it'll tell you. I think it already does this in game, so never mind. But yeah, that is about it. I think that I've covered almost everything. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message me in game. But this should help you guys realize what's an upgrade, what's not, and hopefully increase your DPS. And if you guys want any help analyzing your data from raid logs and things like that to try and increase your DPS, I'm more than happy to do so as well. I do this all the time. I'll compare my logs to those logs of the top performing elemental shamans and try to tweak my rotation and my what I tend to do in raid to better mimic them so that I can continue pushing higher and higher DPS to. So hopefully this will help us out this week in Heroic, if I can get this into Discord before we raid in about 1 hour. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Have a good one.